transfers for $1 around.
You're on.
Good morning. I'll officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, November 29th. Please join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me for a prayer. Lord, thank you for the blessing of another day. Thank you for all of the blessings that you've given us through your Son, Jesus Christ. Be with us as we go about the purpose of conducting county business, as we make decisions, and that we may make the best decisions that are fitting for the service to Seneca County. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy.
Here.
Commissioner Zoller.
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner.
It's easy for you to say here.
All right, well, the signing of the journal, and I'll accept the motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous board session of Tuesday, November 23rd, and the index of that meeting, 22nd. I don't know what I said, 22nd.
I'll make a motion that we approve it as outlined.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you. All right, any adjustments to the printed agenda?
I'd like to get an update on where we stand at with the Wolf Creek project,
Okay.
with Engineer Zimmerman and so forth.
All right, I'd like to add an executive session for the purposes of personnel discussion. We can do that after citizens' comments at the end. Anything, Mr. Kirschner?
No.
Stacy?
I have a couple resolution, one for the dog and kennel fund, and I have an authorization signing resolution. And we did pull off one more resolution that was sent out in the agenda, Job and Family Services, $250,000 request. We pulled off the agenda that I wanted to make sure we discussed.
Okay. So we need
Whoa,
to add it under.
pulling it off or,
It's
We're
not,
pulling
it's
it
not
off.
on here.
Right. We're pulling it
But
off,
we
but
need
I
to
want to talk
discuss.
about it.
okay. Don't talk too long with $250,000 request.
What was the first one, Stacy?
Dog and kennel fund, so that's new business. That's all new business.
Tanya, do you have anything? All right. Old business, Justice Center update. Was there a report at the end of last week? I can't tell you that. What
Being
date
a
it came
holiday
in.
week, I don't think I've seen it.
Last one
I
came
don't
in.
remember seeing it.
And Steele's not here yet, I guess.
Yeah, I see that, the steel was supposed to be here the first week of, I've heard the first week of December was
Right.
when they were
Right.
And I think,
projecting it.
Our maintenance supervisor mentioned yesterday that the concrete is done or was gonna be done this
It's gonna
week.
be either poured this week or early next week.
That's what I thought he said.
And
Was
then
that
the
for the
steel
floor?
would be,
Yeah.
That's for the
Base.
floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and the steel would be following within the next couple weeks after that.
But to see if what the date of the last printed report was, because maybe they did one right. I don't know. Look,
Yeah.
I didn't think about it this morning, don't I? All right.
Would
You know, from a
you,
cost standpoint, it's always cheaper to pour the concrete before the cold weather comes in.
Today would be good. Supposed to be 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's actually better for the concrete too.
they have a contractors meeting one day during the week, and I'm not sure which day that is.
Is it Thursday?
You send us that schedule, because I
Yep.
know we said we might show up to a couple of those.
Yep, I sure will. I made sure John was on those too, so he could go.
Okay.
Yep, there's one this Thursday.
I don't think we want to go every week, but
Right.
once in a while, show up.
Yep.
Okay. Wolf Creek project, I would have to go in there and grab my notes, but Mark and Beth Beach and myself met and looked over the estimate from the Feller and Fitch. I correct that if you need that for the media, make sure I got that name right. The contractor who, the bids that he received and the services they're going to provide, because we asked them specifically to put some things into their scope of services. And so Mark is going back with them. We questioned a couple of things. We thought maybe some of that work was some notification to all the property owners. We think there's a means, and I made a commitment, and I haven't done that. We met last Wednesday morning, I think, to follow up with Derek on how that notification has to be. We don't think it needs to be a certified mail notification, because we've had the final hearing already. But anyway, once that is all worked out, then they would begin redoing the assessment work and moving forward. And Mark, was going to specifically, which they didn't have in their scope, we wanted to put timeframes. That we want this phase done by, the design phase done by this date, the assessment phase, the design phase, and then the construction phase, and put dates to them. So,
Okay, so just for my gratification here, so we have hired a group that will oversee the whole implementation of the petition. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
they're gonna take care of not only the construction part of it, but the assessment part of it.
watching it, they won't do the
Okay,
construction.
okay.
Or
They're
they may
gonna
not
be
do
like
it. They're gonna-
project manager.
Yep, they're gonna design, they gotta do the whole assessment phase, they gotta do the design of the, which spells out all the work to be done, and then they'll have to be a bid on the construction.
Okay, so realistic, the reason I ask this is I've had some inquiries from some residents of, that are bordering Wolf Creek. So in essence, then after the rains of the spring, we could probably assume that construction will start, or the process will start in the summer?
I didn't know I was gonna do that, but I'd have to go in there and grab my notebook, but I don't believe we'd have construction next year. I think they would be getting all the assessment work and getting the bids going. I don't know that there'd be construction in 17.
Okay, so we
I'd have to go.
maybe as late as 18 then,
Yeah.
maybe, okay. I
Like I said,
just,
Mark's working through that, and I can't speak without my notes, but
okay.
what kind of, as we discussed, we said we need some timelines in here. And so he was going back to work with, get an email off to them, and I've not seen that, so, but that was like right before Thanksgiving we met. So, he was to.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yep. Anything else for old business?
Actually, I did. Sheriff's, I talked to the sheriff about his fans. He did check with the guys that gave him the estimate, and the fans are supposed to be the maintenance-free fans. He says actually quite a few of them have not been working for quite a while, but it wasn't in areas that was noticeable. When the fans finally went out around the kitchen is when they noticed that they had a problem. He's thinking maybe some of the stuff has been causing some of the heating and cooling issues. But he does have 35 fans that are out right now. And he did get those 2 quotes I mentioned last week to do them in phases if we thought the cost was high. We do have the money in 215 that would cover the full amount if we wanted to just get it done. He's asking to get it done and get all of his fans working.
If they did it in 2 phases, would it increase the cost? If we did it all in 1 phase, what's the cost? If we did it in 2 phases over 2 budget years, what would be the cost?
Both proposals he got was in 2 phases. And they've separated them out differently. One is about a 50-50, and the other one's, looks like the majority of the project, they're getting done first. So,
Well, I would think that, we're gonna have other situations that happen in 17, so I would move that we just go ahead and do the complete project at this point. We've got the money in 215, let's get her done.
Just bite the bullet. I
I
don't
would second
disagree
that.
with you, Commissioner Kirschner. My only question is if we do it all at once, can we get a little more favorable price?
I can ask that.
Yeah. Versus doing it over a 2-year period, we may get 5% off or whatever. I mean, I agree, we don't need to kick the can down the road, but
Yeah.
can there be some financial incentive to do it all at once?
I can ask. If there's not, can I have them go ahead and move forward with it?
Okay,
Yes.
do we need to act on them?
No, Tanya will get, if we need a purchase order in place, Tanya will get that stuff in place, so we don't
So
need
we
to
don't need to make a
motion.
motion.
Okay.
And again, we have sufficient funds set aside out of
215.
Our capital
215 that can
improvement.
do it without distracting from the budget.
Yeah.
What was the cost of that?
It's
Um,
35,000, if I recall.
it was,
45, 46?
yeah, one was for 44, and I think the other one was for 46,
Yeah.
total. adding the two phases together.
Okay,
Thank you.
nothing else for old business? Mike, did you have something?
Well, I guess this would be as much new business as old business, but I'll talk about it anyways. We have had a request from the Adams Township
Oh, that meeting.
to come to their meeting on Monday, I think at 8:30, is that right? Bill is Adams Township trustee.
Is it this coming Monday?
The 12th.
Bill
The
Franklin
12th.
is
Adams Township.
Adams Township,
Yep.
yeah. He left me a message. I got back to him, but he invited, I didn't talk to him, I left him a message. But he's asking that one or all of us be there. He wasn't sure about sunshine laws. So,
It's their meeting, if we all go, we're not making decisions for us.
Is it, is
I
it,
And
think-
it's an open
is it-
meeting.
He said something related to EMS, so assuming they're gonna get an update on
That's what the email said.
their EMS contract stuff.
anyway,
Just
so it's
with-
8:30 Monday, and I just want to make sure everybody was aware of it.
that's on the 5th?
That's all.
No,
The 12th.
the 12th, a week from Monday.
Can somebody fill me in? I recall someplace in an email said something about we purchased some land or something and they wanted to,
No,
what's that about?
the Soil Conservation Service purchased a farm in Adams Township. The sugar farm, when it sold somewhere in the last few months. And they had a note in that email that we need to notify them when that's going to happen, but we have nothing to do with that. Soil Conservation Service is their own entity, and they didn't buy it with county money. They bought it with funds they had.
Yeah, we didn't even know it was going down.
That's, I mean, a sale's a sale. There's a lot of sales, but every time a farm sells or any property sells in any township, I mean, we don't,
No, but
no, that's not. So I
Anyways, let Bill know that one or all of us will be there. I'm not sure, but I know that I've got it scheduled, so.
Yeah, so do I. So.
yeah. Okay, so,
all right.
But the general purpose is kind of update on EMS.
that's what it said.
Yeah,
that's
that's what the
what-
email said.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then we move to new business. Let's do the DJFS request that we're.
Yes, it was originally on
What
the,
they were talking about.
yeah, it was originally sent out on the agenda. They usually ask us for a request and we budget an amount for the foster children fund. We are required, general fund's required to cover foster children expenses. Over the last few years, they've been managing that fund really well and has not had to ask the general fund for the additional funding. I think the past maybe 3 years, we've front-loaded. They call it front-loading, I'm not really sure what they mean by front-loading. Basically, that they didn't necessarily need it for foster children, but they've used it to help do some upgrades to their building that we wouldn't probably have normally got a priority on. So this year, I think they got the 250 from last year's numbers, because in our budgets for 2016, we only put 150 in there, and we were gonna discuss it at the time, whether we wanted to do the front loading again, or if we just wanted to hold on to it. They said they would like to have it, but they understand if our budgets,
And they're talking to use it for what? For what part of the building or,
she said they were gonna discuss that.
okay.
I think the request came to us before she had a chance to talk to her financial clerk before it came to us, so.
Okay.
But I did wanna mention it since it was on the agenda, and,
Right.
So where are they getting the funding from for the foster children care at this point?
they
Or
do
their
a lot
budget.
of, what's the kinship program. Instead of the foster children program, they do the kinship program, and that's something we don't pay.
Okay.
The state runs those programs. I mean, Kathy's done an excellent job. I mean, that fund used to pull 800,000 out of the general fund, when I first started. So she's implementing very good programs and,
Yeah. And I have, clearly it's our responsibility to fund that portion of foster care if those funds are needed, and greatly appreciate their management, that they've not needed that money from the general fund. And like I said, we've kind of had a history of, like I said, making the money available in place and then allowing some things for their buildings. But I think in the scheme of things, that money, if it's needed for foster care, we'll need to provide that. We're this late in the year. If we've got other building demands, I guess I don't think one department should dictate that the money gets spent on their building. And I don't know that's what they're wanting it for, but I'm assuming, yes, it's our building, but we've got to weigh in, and the maintenance supervisor's got to keep everything in check, and, you know, what has the most urgent need
Yep.
in maintenance and cost, you know, because there's a lot of them
Yep.
across all of our buildings.
Yeah.
That's the part that's concerning to me. I don't want, I mean, I'm sure if we put some out there for the sheriff and said, hey, by the end of the year, if you don't use it for this, you can use it in your building, he's always gonna find improvements needed, and we all would, but I think we've gotta let somebody step back and look at the bigger picture and what's the best use of those funds, because we don't wanna end up with a roof problem here or a heating and cooling problem here because we didn't take care of the most urgent need.
Yeah, and we do have some of those issues coming.
I guess my concern is more of a macro level. I mean, I certainly appreciate what they're doing out in Job and Family Services for foster care and so forth and so on, but, you know, I guess my question is to the judge. I mean, do you kind of, is the foster care program in Seneca County, are we fulfilling our responsibility? Does that fall at all under
I'm
the?
comfortable Judge Meyer's doing his job and he's doing it well.
Okay, so that would
That's
fall
a
under
serious
juvenile.
comment.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with foster care at all.
Okay, I just,
I am
I'm
familiar
certainly.
with Judge Meyer, and you know as well as I do, he's sharp with a pencil, as I like to think we all are, so. And he's taking care of the kids in the county, so.
He's-
That's what I want to make sure, that
Oh,
we are.
There's no question in my mind about that.
Yeah.
Clearly, he's doing a good job.
That would fall under Judge Meyer's responsibility.
Yes, right down the street.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I know why I'm the only judge that comes to the meetings.
You know,
They use the kinship program more because they would rather have the child be in a care of somebody
Family.
that's family. So they-
Kinship, okay,
Kinship
is it-
program
okay,
is what they've
okay.
been using instead of just sending kids to foster care that,
Oh.
you know what I mean? So they're just using another pot of money, and they like to keep the kids with some sort of a family member. That's what the kinship program is, and that's what they've been trying to support. Not that foster families are not wonderful.
No, that doesn't, that's a great service as well, but that's how they chose to manage it,
Yes.
and they knew that was less on the general fund, so.
Does the kinship program pay the kids similar amount as does foster care, or is it a different pay scale?
Yes.
I'd
No,
have to ask Kathy, that I'm not sure.
there is some sort of assistance though in the kinship program.
Yeah, there's some,
that is-
yeah.
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 Well,
That's
I-
money they get from the state, so I'm not sure. I'd have to ask her on that one.
It's severely less than paying a foster care facility, which we don't have a lot of here in Seneca County. They've made comments about going to Cleveland to check up on a child that's in a center or a home there, that sort of thing, which adds more costs for our staff traveling to check on them and paying for the services and that sort of thing. Sure.
Kudos to Judge Meyer and that.
Yeah, they've managed it well.
So I'll get some more details from Kathy and see if there's anything specific, or if we can, look to next year to reevaluate it. So I'll get that update for you.
We will then begin with the resolutions. As printed. Oh, dog and kennel.
I'll
See,
bring
I
it
knew
to
I'd
you.
forget one of
Nope,
them.
that's okay.
I wrote it down and lost it in my notes.
Going through, being the end of the year, was going through some of our department's funds, was looking over dog and kennel fund, and it seems something with the new auditor system. Before, when we did Kelly's budget, or the dog and kennel budget, all of the Medicare workers' comp and PRS went into basically their own lines. And the auditor has a salary line, and Kelly, for their dog and kennel, has a salary line, but all the benefits were combined. Something happened this year that it started to split, the system started to split it, but we only had funds in that single line. So what I'm bringing up is to cover the remainder of the year, and I talked to Julie about it, and we're just going to start splitting it from here on out, keeping the auditor's portion of the dog and kennel fund as separate as to Kelly's portion of the dog and kennel fund.
So it's the same dollar amount, it's just put in a different account?
Yep. And being it was the end of month, we were gonna do some appropriation adjustments to get it done, but being the end of the month, I didn't have time to necessarily run it, so we were just gonna do a sub-app, knowing that the other lines it'll fall back into the 035 account when the end of the year, so. So I can read that one. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations for the dog and kennel fund, putting into the dog warden side in her Medicare line, $260. And for the auditor side, for Medicare, workers' comp, and PRS is $100 for Medicare, $200 for workers' comp, and $1,500 for PRS. The other resolution I have to bring up, last board session, we signed a form for the auditor's office to authorize an increase in my signing authority for the purchase orders for the VIP system. That's a form that she has asked us to replace resolutions, but she has asked that I actually do a resolution for it this time. And we've been talking about it, and I said that if that's what she wants, we would just go ahead and do it. So I have a resolution authorizing Stacy Wilson, County Administrator, signing authority for all administrative documents deemed necessary for the functions of the Commissioner's Office. The only change was the increase in the amount of the purchase orders, so. And I can start with the other new business. I do not have any bill vouchers. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations to the Community Development Block Grant Fund, putting $39.58 into their transfers outline. I have a supplement to the permit appropriations to the Delinquent Care and Custody Grant Fund, putting $5,340.24 into contract services. I have a supplement to the permit appropriation to the general fund, putting $877.79 into salaries, $12.73 into Medicare, $122.90 into PRS for a total of $1,013.42. This is at the request of the auditor's office. I have a supplement to the permitted appropriation to the general fund. This is at the request of the sheriff. He's asking for an increase of $128,000 for salaries and $18,706.75 into food. I talked to him about the salary line, and he has had quite a few changeovers and employees this year, more than he expected. I'm actually only $128,000 for the end of the year for the sheriff was actually pretty good. So
I was gonna say, we usually get a big one at the
we
end.
usually get a big one, but he said this would do him for the rest of the year. So what we've been budgeting has been a lot closer than what we've ever had. He said this amount is just because he's had some turnover, quite a bit of turnover in that side this year. So. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the health insurance fund. This is at the request of the auditor's office, putting $50,000 into health insurance premiums, $25 into life insurance premiums, and $800 into the admin fee line. I have a decrease to the permanent appropriations to the real estate assessment fund. She is decreasing her salary line by $69.60. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. This is at the request of the youth center. Looks like he's moving some money from his contract service and travel to his contract repairs, equipment, supplies, and uniform for a total of $17,350. I have a resolution authorizing a fund advance repayment from the ambulance service fund to the general fund. This, they got the grant money in for the trucks, so he's repaying the advance.
That's a big number too. Huh?
It is, the 300, yep. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the public assistance fund, moving $18,000 from their contract service line to their facilities line. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. This is at the request of juvenile probate court, moving $2,000 from contract services to supplies. I have a resolution accepting the bid of R.J. Runge Company Incorporated for the 79 South Washington Street renovation project. The total amount for that is $133,220.
That's prosecutors.
Yep.
Then the old Fifth Third.
Yep. I have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2010 Chevy Equinox on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff's Department. 2010. Got a good price on that. And that's all the resolutions I have.
Where did we get this one from? What dealer?
Ford dealer, Renegade.
All right, okay. For the resolutions, I take a motion to approve.
Move for approval.
Seconded.
Motion and a second to approve of resolutions as presented. Any questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes, all approved. Thank you. This leads us to an opportunity for citizens' comments. We'll do now because we will have a need for an executive session, but we will have the need for any action following that, so we can now hold everybody up. So do we have any citizens' comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
Make a motion, we go to executive session. For purpose of
Personnel.
personnel.
Second
Got a
again.
motion and a second to go to executive session. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes,
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes, thank you.
thank you. We will go to the back for executive session.